Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for your very kind association. We'll start with the prayers and then we'll go ahead with our Bhakti Vaibhav session. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtiprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivastadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Guruve Gaura Chandrai Radhikaya Tadalai Krishna Krishna Bhaktai Tad Bhaktai Namo Namo. Mukam karoti vācālam pangam langāyate girim yat kripahatam ham vande Shri Guru Dīnatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwar. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So thank you once again for joining. So we'll continue with our Bhakti Vaibhav session. We are in the 9th chapter, that is the last chapter for this unit. And this chapter entitled is The Passing Away of Bhishma Dev in the Presence of Lord Shri Krishna. So the chapter begins when Yudhishthira Maharaj was so much bewildered and was thinking himself to be the doer of the entire massacre that happened and thought that he will incur a lot of sinful reactions because that massacre happened just to enthrone Yudhishthira Maharaj to get the kingdom. Lord Krishna, along with Vyasadeva and all other sages, tried to pacify him, but it was also under Krishna's plan because Krishna wants to glorify Bhishma Dev, his devotee. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthira was not able to get pacified even by the words of Lord Shri Krishna. Finally, along with all the Pandavas, Krishna, Yudhishthira Maharaj, they all went to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where they saw Bhishma Dev lying on the bed of arrows. Many devotees, many sages, they came on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to see Bhishma Dev. And Bhishma Dev was also very happy to see everybody. Yatha Shakti, as per the time, place, and circumstances, he welcomed all of them. Though he was on the shayya, on the bed of arrows, he couldn't get up, but he offered very sweet words with affectionate mood. He welcomed everybody. He was very overwhelmed seeing the Pandavas who were sitting beside him, and with the tears in his eyes, he spoke. He pacified Yudhishthira Maharaj by saying that you all are always protected by Lord Shri Krishna. My daughter-in-law Kunti Devi also suffered a lot because she got widow and then you all were very young children. But still she suffered in growing you up. And now when you have grown up, still she is suffering. So this is not because of your prarabdha, but it is because of the inevitable time. And Yudhishthira Maharaj can ask that, okay, how can you say that it is not our prarabdha and it is time? Because actually time also is a direct incarnation of the Lord. So how can I understand that? Because the time also helps and helps in giving the reactions to one's karma. So ultimately, it's my prarabdha. So then Bhishma Dev said that how can there be reversals in your life when you have so many great warriors along with you? And not only that, even Lord Shri Krishna is always beside you. He is ever well-wisher friend. So all the reversals that happened can only be concluded that it was because of inevitable time. Then again, Yudhishthira Maharaj said that, but it is being explained that the time doesn't punish those who are pure devotees. So on one side you are saying that we are good devotees, we are pure devotees, Krishna is always there on our side. Then how can we come under the influence of time? So to this Bhishma Dev says that actually no one can understand Krishna's plan. So this time is Krishna in this material world, and whatever is happening with you is because of this inevitable time. And this time is also working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. So it's Krishna's plan and it's very hard to understand. Even the great philosophers failed to understand. They also scratched their heads when it comes to understand Krishna's plan. It's impossible. So Yudhishthira Maharaj says that, why do you say that it's impossible? Because Krishna is our well-wisher friend. He is our cousin. He is our messenger. He is our charioteer. So if he is the root cause, then we can always ask him that what is your plan? Why we are suffering so much? Then Bhishma Dev says, oh, Yudhishthira Maharaj, this is your ignorance, that you are thinking that he is your friend and he is your charioteer or he is your messenger. It is out of ignorance you are thinking that he is your cousin, he is your well-wisher. Actually, he is Sakshat Bhagwan. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is always faultless. He is not partial, but he is always reciprocal. He is equal to all, but still those who offer unflinching devotional service unto him, he reciprocates. And in reciprocations, he goes an extra mile to protect his devotees. And then Bhishma Dev instructed Maharaj Yudhishthira into various dharmas. So there I think so we stopped and we'll continue, and let me share my screen. So this is text 26 from where we have to start. So text 25 says that Suta Goswami said, so now when he glorified Krishna, then Suta Goswami, the camera changes back to Naimisharanya, where Suta Goswami is giving this Bhagavad Katha to Shaunakadi Rishi, the sages of Naimisharanya. And Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Yudhishthira, after hearing Bhishma Dev speak in that appealing tone, that don't think that Krishna is your cousin, is your friend, is your well-wisher, is your benefactor, but he is Bhagwan Sakshat. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj asked him in the presence of the great rishis about the essential principles of various religious duties. So he's asked him about the various dharmas. And this also Prabhupada writes, and this is all due to the arrangement of the great wheel carrier Lord Shri Krishna, who established the glories of his devotees. Just like the father likes the son become more famous than himself, the Lord also declares very empathetically that worship of his devotees is more valuable than the worship of the Lord himself. So this was being explained by Yudhishthir, by Bhishmadev. Lord wants to glorify Bhishmadev, Mad Bhakta Puja Advika. Or you can say Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnuranadhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadyanam Samacharam. Where the Lord always declared that the worship of my devotee is always greater than the worship of myself. So it was all under Krishna's plan, and today we'll start with verse number 26. Purusha Swabhava Vihitan Yatha Varnam Yatha Shramam Vairagya Ragopad Dibhyam Amnatobhya Lakshanam Purusha Swabhava Vihitam. So Purusha Swabhava Vihitam means that Bhishma Dev here, he describes the dharmas. He described the dharma because Yudhishthira Maharaj asked him about the various dharmas. He was enthroned as the king, as an emperor. So now, to rule properly, he asked Bhishma Dev about the various dharmas. And Bhishma Dev said, Purusha Swabhava Vihitam, something that is born out of one's own Swabhava. So dharma is different for every person. And that is what is Swadharma is. Sanatan Dharma is one. The eternal Dharma is one for all the living entities. That is, that Jiva Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas. They are always Nityadas. They are always the servant of Lord Shri Krishna. But as per one's Swabhava, as per one's nature, and not only nature, but he says, Purusha Swabhava Vihitan Yatha Varnam Yatha Sharam. It depends according to Varnas and Ashramam. So there are 4 Varnas, that is Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras. And so there are 4 Ashramas, that is Brahmacharya Ashram, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So as per one's Varna, as per one's ashram one is situated, and on top of that, the swabhava they carry. So they have their particular dharma. Vairagya raga. And these which have qualities also. Qualities of vairagya, that is detachment, renunciation, and enjoyment, that is raga. Upadibhyam. So out of those swadharmas, out of those designations, people act according to the person's detachment and the attachment they have. So first of all, the dharma depends upon one's swabhava. Then it depends upon one's varna and ashrama. And in that varna and ashrama, there may be some qualities of attachment and detachment. Amnatobhya Lakshanam. And this way, Bhishma Dev very systematically described the symptoms of both. So he described the symptoms of both. Amnata, systematically, Ubhaya. Ubhaya means the both, the Vairagya and the Raga. And he described the symptoms of both. So this is how Bhishma Dev explained. Somebody can read the translation.
Maharaj Yudhishthira inquiry. Bhishmadev first defined all the classification of caste and orders of life in terms of the individual qualifications. Then he systematically in 2 full divisions described counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment.
Thank you, Shami. So first of all, he described the general dharma. What is the general dharma of humans according to their nature? Purusha Bhava Vihitam. But then he explained as per one's yatha varnam, means as per their varna, he explained, and as per their ashrama. See, in the ashrama also in which we are situated, we have a certain attachment and certain detachment, certain vairagya and certain raga. Now, this is according to our swabhava. So, it is the rule in all the ashramas, like such as a brahmachari. They need not be undertaken, means it's not that a brahmachari can always remain a brahmachari. In every ashram, whatever you are in, the first is the brahmacharya, and that brahmacharya has to be followed by everyone. And that is for one first to 25 years of your life. So everybody, no matter you are a brahmana, a kshatriya, or vaishya, you have to strictly follow that brahmachari life from first to 25 years. Okay. Then it depends that what kind of rag you develop. If they are into vairagya, if they are constantly thinking of renunciation, then from brahmachari they can directly jump into sannyasis. They can become sannyasis. They don't need to enter grahastha ashram. But if they have a constant attachment towards this material world, then from brahmachari, they can jump to grahastha. And then till 50 or 60 years of your life, you enter, after that, you enter vanaprastha. Okay. So vanaprastha, then you go and then you wholeheartedly, with one pointed attention, you focus on the Supreme Lord. So this is what Bhishma Dev in a very systematically explained, that what is the general dharma and then what is as per one's in what ashram we are in, and in that ashram also what is one's swabhav of any vairagya or any rag. Okay, so that is what is explained. So Prabhupada, he gives an elaborate purport on this, that the conception of the four castes and the four orders of life, we know, Chaturvarnam, Mayashishtam. So in the Varnashrama system, Varnashrama dharma, it is prescribed for the civilized human being just to train him to successfully terminate human life. Self-realization is distinguished from the lower life of the lower animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. Bhishma Dev advised all human beings having these 9 qualifications. So these are the certain qualifications that are being described by Bhishma Dev. Of course, Sutta Goswami didn't go in detail about what he explained, because in just 2 verses, he finished that how Bhishma Dev instructed Yudhishthira Maharaj. But Srila Prabhupada was kind enough that he, with the help of the various acharyas' commentaries, he wrote this beautiful purport in explaining that what is our Swadharma and what is our Sanatan Dharma. In explaining this, Srila Prabhupada explained that before becoming a devotee, before becoming Krishna conscious, you have to be human. So you come onto the human platform. Because if you don't abide to the rules of the human platform, then you are simply living a life of an animal where you are engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So any activity that we do, if it is not aligned to Krishna, then every activity of a human being can be fixed, can be put in these 4 buckets of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So we have to first of all rise up from this animalistic propensities. That is what is being explained by Srila Prabhupada. So these are the basic 9 qualifications that is required for all human beings to come onto that human platform. And after that, you can think of becoming Krishna conscious or becoming a devotee. And what are those 9 qualifications? The first is not to become angry. So we can all introspect in our own life that are we really humans? We are trying to present ourselves to be Krishna conscious, to be a devotee of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to be a devotee of Krishna. But are we even humans? So, first of all, we have to introspect in our own life and come to this level. Only then we can think and present ourselves to be called as a devotee, so called devotee. So, first is not to become angry, not to lie, to equally distribute our wealth. This means having no attachment to one's wealth, to forgive, to beget children only by one's legitimate wife, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body. This is cleanliness. Not to be inimical towards anyone, no animosity. To be simple, simplicity. Saralta hi Vaishnavata. So before calling yourself Vaishnav, be simple. To support servants or subordinates, to be kind, Jivadaya. Okay. So these are the 9 qualities of a person. Prabhupada says one cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above mentioned preliminary qualities. So these are the preliminary qualities, prerequisites to enroll ourselves in Krishna consciousness, to be called as devotee. Okay. Besides these, then he explains about the 4 classes, that is Brahmanas. So these are good for everybody. Whether you are a Brahmana, whether you are a Kshatriya, whether you are a Vaishya or you are a Shudra, doesn't matter. To be a human, to call yourself a human being, these 9 qualifications are very important. Then comes, he says about the Brahmanas. How the Brahmanas should be? That the Brahmanas should be very, very controlled. Basics of morality, sex indulgence. They should control the sex indulgence even with their legitimate wife, just to beget children, not for sense gratification. They should be engaged in study of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then they should be engaged in devotional service. And he must not do anything which is forbidden in the Shastras. They should be very Shastric. For Kshatriyas, he mentions that, of course, it's not that Kshatriyas in those days were allowed to marry more than one wife. But they all have to be given the equal status. It's not that ignoring one and taking care of another. For Kshatriyas, it is specially advised to give charity and not to accept charity in any circumstances. And because they're administrative class, their job is to protect the citizens. The administrators should never pretend to become non-violent and thereby go to hell. So becoming a non-violent when it comes to give punishment to the aggressors, that doesn't suit to Kshatriyas. Arjun wanted to become a non-violent. That was his problem. But Krishna says that if you leave this battlefield, then you will not be called as a compassionate person, but you will be called as coward. Why? Because you have ran away from this battlefield. So he was severely chastised by Lord Krishna. In fighting, the king or the president should never return home without being hurt by the enemy. The point is that you should not show your back. That is the duty of a Kshatriya. For the Vaishyas, he says that you should protect the cows, protection of animals. Cow protection means increasing milk productions, yogurt, butter, and curd. Distribution of the foodstuffs and agriculture are the primary duties of the mercantile community, that is, Vaishyas. And animals are not to be killed, never meant to be killed. Killing of animal is a symptom of barbarian society. And finally, he explains about the Shudra, where the Shudra have no independence and they are only meant for rendering service to the 3 higher sections of the society. As soon as, and Shudra is not allowed even to accumulate money. As soon as the Shudras accumulate money, because they are very low in their intelligence, they misuse that money and they engage in sinful activities, that is in wine, money, and gambling. Wine, women, and gambling indicate that the population is degraded to less than Shudra quality because this increases Varna Shankara. So this is how he explains the whole ashram, the whole Varnashrama system. But then Bhishma Dev explains that ultimately any ashram we are in, it should lead to detachment. One who fails to assimilate the spirit of detachment is allowed to enter into family life with the same spirit of detachment. Again, even if you are entering into Grahastha life, that doesn't mean that give you the license to do sex every day. Again, you have to limit yourself in all your activities, not only in sex and dungeons, but in every activity with the spirit of detachment. Yet certain licenses you get, which those who are in renounced order of life do not have that much of privilege. As a householder, we do get, but still we should follow it with the spirit of detachment. Therefore, one who attains detachment may either adopt directly the fourth order, that is sannyasi, and live on charity only, should not accumulate wealth. However, if some attachment is there, then they can enter grahastha. Household life is one who is attached, and the vanaprastha and sannyasa orders of life, those who are detached from material life. The brahmachari ashram is specially meant for training both the attached and detached. So whether you are planning to enter, like this is again for our kids now, because we have all crossed that stage. So for the kids, we can train them properly. At least till 25 years of age, we should tell them to strictly follow that brahmacharya life. After that, seeing their proclivity, they can enter either into grahastha ashram or they can directly jump into renounced order of life, the sannyasa ashram. But irrespective of whatever class they belong, the first 25 years should be strictly brahmacharya life. So it is meant for both, whether you have attachment to the material world or you are completely detached from the material world. But the first 25 years should be strictly for brahmachari ashram. So this is how Bhishma Dev explained as per Sutta Goswami. Another verse, and then in just two verses, Sutta Goswami ended that discussion because he has something more to tell about about Bhishma Dev. Because Bhishma Dev is on his deathbed of arrows, and now he is planning to leave his body. दान धर्म राज धर्मान मोक्ष धर्मान विभागश स्त्री धर्मान भागवत धर्माम समास व्यास योगता. So dana dharma. So first he explained about dana dharma. Dana dharma means giving charity. Okay. Then he explains about Raja dharma, the dharma of a king. Why he explained this? Because Yudhishthira Maharaj is now enthroned as the emperor, as a king. He explained about moksha dharma, because ultimately dharma, artha, kama, moksha, artha and kama, and after that everybody should try for moksha. Vibhagasha. So in these divisions, very systematically, he explained all these dharmas. He explained Stri Dharma, the dharma of a woman. And finally, he explained Bhagavad Dharma, which is the most important of all the dharmas, because that is the center of all our activities. How he explained all these different dharmas, Dana Dharma, Raja Dharma, Moksha Dharma, Stri Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma, how he explained Samasa Vyasa. Samasa means in briefly, generally what is there. But not only that, Vyasa means very extensively, very explicitly he explained. Very explicitly also he explained. So somebody can read translation.
He then explained by divisions acts of charity, the pragmatic activities of a king, and activities for salvation. Then he described the duties of women and devotees, both briefly.
Thank you, Mataji. So he explained all these. What are Dana Dharma, Raja Dharma, Moksha Dharma, Stri Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma, Samasa and Vyasa, generally and explicitly, extensively. Both he explained. Prabhupada again gave the brilliant purport to this. Of course, we'll not go line by line. You all can read on your own, but important points we'll try to cover. To give charity is one of the householder's main function, and he should be prepared to give in charity at least 50% of his hard-earned money. So this is again being said by Srila Rupa Goswami, where he, when he accepted the renounced order of life, he distributed his wealth. So 50% he gave in charity, 25% he gave it to his relatives, and 25% he kept for himself. So this is how the division should be there. But again, as a householder, though Prabhupada is writing that we should be ready to give charity, if not 50%, because these days is not possible. If 50% of our income is gone, then who is going to pay the mortgage? Who is going to pay the utility bills? But if we consider that our home is Krishna's home, then forget about 50%. Every penny we spend is actually used for Krishna's service. But that doesn't mean that we should only confine ourselves in maintaining the home, but we should also give charity to our temples, because these temples are also sustained by the grihasthas. So we should help, we should give donations. We should give donations for building up the temple, for maintenance of the temple. So because that is the duty of a grahastha. From a brahmacharya, from the vanaprasthis, from the sannyasis, you cannot expect, because they are not allowed to keep money for themselves. So when grahasthas are given this liberty to accumulate some wealth, so they are expected to give charity also. So they should give charity. In a brahmachari life, he's trained, sufficiently imparted so that he understands that the world properly belongs to Lord Krishna. So in life, householder, which is a sort of a license for sex enjoyment, one must give in charity for the service of the Lord. Everyone's energy is generated or borrowed from the reservoir of energy of the Lord. Therefore, all the resultant actions of self-energy must be given in the shape of transcendental loving service of the Lord. So not only charity, but through their own limbs also, they should do certain activities for the temple. Prabhupada gives this analogy: as the rivers draw water from the sea through the clouds and again go down to the sea, similarly, our energy is borrowed from the Supreme Source, the Lord's energy, and it must be returned back to the Supreme Lord. So we should give charity. Even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yad karoshi yadaknashi. Whatever you do, whatever you undergo penance, it should be offered to the Supreme Lord. Then he explained about the Raj Dharma. What is the duty of a Raj Dharma? Raj Dharma is a great science. It's unlike modern diplomacy and political supremacy that we see in Kali Yuga. That is not the Raj Dharma. Raj Dharma is when the kings are systematically trained to take care of their citizens. Yes, collecting tax is not wrong. Collecting tax is bona fide for the kings, provided that money is used for the ultimate benefit of the citizens. If that money is going into the pocket of a king or some cabinet ministers, then that is not the Raj Dharma. And all that is happening in today Kali Yuga. They are extracting lot of taxes from the citizens, but that tax is not 100% used in for the benefit of citizens. The father, the spiritual master, and the king are not to become irresponsible. That is not the duty. But it is to systematically lead their subjects, the citizens, which can give them the ultimate liberation from birth, death, disease, and old age. That's why the king in those days were not only called the kings, Raja, but they were Raj Rishis. Because with their internal mentality, they were Rishis. They were Rishis, why? Because they were Krishna conscious. They have some fear of Lord, that if they don't do the activities as per dharma, then they will incur sinful reactions. Today, the kings are not like that. Today, the rules of the government is not like that. Therefore, Prabhupada says, is democracy is demons crazy. They're crazy demons. But those days, it was not such. The kings were really Raja Rishis. A typical king is the ideal of the people in general. If the king is pious, religious, chivalrous, and munificent, the citizens generally follow him. Such a king is not a lazy, sensuous person living at the cost of the subjects. No, but they are always alert, but alert always to kill thieves and dacoits. The pious kings were not merciful to dacoits and thieves, and that is what is ahimsa. So ahimsa should not be followed for dacoits and thieves. Rather, they should be punished in exemplary way so that in future one should not dare to commit such nuisance in life. So taxation was simple, but ultimately it is for the benefit of people. So these are the various things that have been described. The king knew well that the Supreme Personality of Godhead never tolerates any insult to his unalloyed devotees. So the kings were the Raj Rishis. Finally, he explains about the moksha dharma. As far as the salvation is concerned, one should conquer the principles of lust, anger, unlawful desires, avarice, and bewilderment. So all these, if they are there, forget about moksha. If somebody is really after moksha, then one has to practice all these qualities. To get freedom for anger, one should learn how to forgive, because forgiveness is the stepping stone for us to control our anger. If we don't forgive people, then we are always in an angry mood. And that anger, even though it is being subsided, it will come out one day. So that for anger not to come out, we should learn to forgive. And how we'll forgive? When we'll understand that anyone who has caused harm to us is actually mere an instrument in Krishna's plan. So this is the only way where we can forgive others. And when we understand that actually it's Krishna's plan, it's my Lord's plan, mere Bhagavan ka plan, that mamata should be there towards the Lord. That mamata, that attachment, that me and mine is when for the material world is wrong. But when that mamata is towards Krishna, then it is on a very high platform. So when we understand that it's my Lord's plan, that's why I'm suffering or I'm gaining anything. The rest, all others are mere an instrument. Then we will be able to forgive others. Otherwise, that grudge will be taken for a long time. Then finally, we have to free ourselves from unlawful desires. And one should not make any plans. Says Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, if you want to make Krishna laugh, tell him your plans. Because man proposes, God disposes. One should be able to conquer sleep. One should be able to tolerate the disturbances in life. One should become self-control. One should practice yoga. One should be able to control one's hunger. One should rise up, and dizziness can be conquered by rising up, and false arguments conquered by factual ascertainment. So these are needed for our moksha dharma. Then he explained about the Stri dharma, that how the woman, as far as the women are concerned, they are accepted as a power of inspiration for men. So nobody reads these lines. See what a beautiful sentence Prabhupada is writing. As far as women class are concerned, they are accepted as a power of inspiration for men. And they just read one sentence where Prabhupada says that three are less intelligent, and they boycott and they say, how can Prabhupada write all this? Understand the context in which Prabhupada is writing. Prabhupada is glorifying women. He's saying they're accepted as a power of inspiration for men. And such women are more powerful than men. But they are controlled by shyness. So the shyness is very important for women. Once this is control valve is loosened, then women can create havoc in the society. And that is how Varna Shankara comes and disturbs the entire world. Finally explaining about Dana Dharma, Raja Dharma, Moksha Dharma, Stri Dharma. The last item Bhishma Dev explained was Bhagavad Dharma, which is the most important, that we are the eternal servants of the Lord. And when we forget this essential part of our nature, we are put into material conditions of life. The simple process of pleasing the Lord is to install the deity of the Lord at home. By concentrating on the deity, one must progressively go on with the daily routine work. Worshipping the deity at home, serving the devotee, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, residing in a holy place, and chanting the holy name of the Lord are all inexpensive items by which one can please the Supreme Lord. So, these 5 things are very important, also instructed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Thus, the subject matter was explained by the grandfather to his grandchildren. So, in simple 2 verses, Suta Goswami ended that how Bhishma Dev explained all these different kind of dharmas to Maharaj Yudhishthira. So now we will go to the next verse where he explains. Okay, Tulsi Gopi Mataji, you have raised your hand. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I was wondering that the details of what Bhishma Dev explained, is that from Mahabharata? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything has been explained in Mahabharata extensively, but in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not explained.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Dharma artha kama mokshamscha sahopayan yatha mune nanakhyani tehaseshu varnayam asha tattvavit. So all these 4 kinds of duties, that is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Saha opayan yatha mune. O Muni, because here Suta Goswami is referring to Shaunakadi Rishi. So he's saying that this way, Bhishma Dev explained these dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And not only that, saha upayam means the means to accept, the means to follow this dharma, artha, and kama, moksha. Everything was explained by was explained by Bhishma Dev. Nana Akhyana. And Nana means many. Akhyana means he spoke not just whimsically, but itihaseshu. Itihaseshu means through itihasas. He was citing examples from itihasas, from the histories. So he was giving proof, he was giving evidence, he was giving references while he was speaking about these occupational duties, along with the means to achieve, saha upayan, along with the means how to achieve these occupational duties, that is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And not only that, he also explains about the panchama purushartha. These purusharthas he explained, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, but he also explained about Bhagavad Dharma. And how, by citing various examples from itihasas, nana khyana itihasesu. From itihasas, he was giving examples, he was citing references. And Varnayam, he described. How he was able to describe? Because tattvavit, because he was himself, he was tattvavit. He was the knower of those truths. So not whimsically, he was a tattvavit and he was the knower And he was citing examples from Itihasas, and that way he was able to describe these 4 occupational duties of men to Yudhishthira Maharaj and all others. Somebody can read translation.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Then he described the occupational duties of the different orders and status of life, citing instances from history, for he was himself well acquainted with the truth. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Padma. So he's saying now, referring to Shaunaka, O sage, Sutta Goswami is referring that Bhishma Dev, he is the knower of the truth. He accurately described dharma, artha, kama, and moksha along with the method and, of course, along with the stories and histories as proof. So, all the dharmas that can be placed, ultimately, they follow the 4 categories dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So he mentions about all these, but he also explains the means, upayan, the means to achieve these 4 purusharthas. And yatha means very accurately he explained, citing examples from the histories, because he was Tattvavid. And yes, he extensively described about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, but he also stresses upon Bhagavad Dharma, that is the supreme occupation of every living entity. Prabhupada writes in the purport that incidents mentioned in the Vedic literature, such as Puranas, Mahabharata, and Ramayana, are factual historical narrations that took place sometimes in the past. It's not a mythology. Okay, they say it's a myth. It's not a myth. Therefore, our culture is not based on mythology. No, but it is on factual historical narrations. Such historical facts, being instructive for ordinary men, were assorted without chronological reference. Besides this, they happen on different planets, in different universes, and thus the description of the narration, and sometimes they have different dimensions to it. Okay, because it's not about it happening in our universes. It may happen at different planets in different universes, therefore the descriptions may be different. But not to fight these descriptions, there may be some differences, but it's not to fight on those, but rather to take the essence from those. Okay, like we say that certain things in Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana says something, other local Ramayana, whether it is by Tulsidas or Khamba Ramayana, they have their own certain, you can understand there may be certain differences in citing certain examples or certain locations or certain activities. But the point is not to fight on that, because every saint will have their own realization. Okay, and this is not happening in one universe. It happens in multi-universes, in various universes, in various planets. So, therefore, there may be some differences. Point is not to fight on that, not to prove their authenticity. But the point is to learn instructive lessons from such incidents, even though they are not in order by our limited range of understanding. And Bhishma Dev knew this, he is Tattvavid. Therefore, he described such narrations before Maharaj Yudhishthira in reply to his different questions. So, in 2 or 3 verses, Sutta Goswami, he ended all these different dharmas that were explained generally and extensively by Bhishma Dev to Yudhishthira Maharaj. But then, while he was explaining, something happened. What happened? Text 29. Dharmam pravadatastasya sakala pratyupasthita yo yoginas chandamrityur vanchitastuttarayana. Then something wonderful happened. Dharman pravadatstasya. As Bhishma Dev was instructing Yudhishthir Maharaj in describing various occupational duties, various dharmas, tasya sakala pratyupastita, his kala, his time, exalted time, upasthita, has arrived. And what was that time? The time that is being waited by the yogis, yoginas. Even the yogis wait for this time. And what kind of yogis? Chanda mrityur. Those who have been benedicted that they can leave their body as per their will. That is what is Chanda mrityur. Chanda mrityur means one who could die when he wants. So such yogis, when they have this selection of time where they can leave their body as per their will, as per their switcha, that time, Vanchitas, which was very much desirable by Bhishma Dev, that time appeared. Upasthita, that time appeared. And what is that time? Uttarayana. Uttarayana is the time when the sun enters into the northern hemisphere. So the entire year is divided into two, Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Uttarayana is when the sun enters into the northern hemisphere, and Dakshinayana is when the sun enters into the southern hemisphere. Now in Bhagavad Gita, we know that it has been very nicely explained by Krishna in the 6th chapter in Dhyana Yoga, where he explains that if anybody leaves their body accidentally or by some arrangement, when they leave their body in this period of Uttarayana, when the sun enters the northern hemisphere, which is around from January to July, the sun, because the Sakrant, the Makar Sakranti that comes in January, that is when the sun enters the northern hemisphere, the Uttarayana starts. And it continues till July. And after that, from Shayana Ekadashi, when happens, after that, the sun enters into the Purnima after that Shayana Ekadashi, there is a Purnima 4 days later. And then the sun enters into the southern hemisphere and again stays there till December. So this is the period. Now, Prabhupada also explains in one of the purport in this 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that if somebody happens to leave accidentally or by arrangement, if they happen to leave their body in this period of Uttarayana, they attain impersonal Brahmajyoti. And all these mystic yogis, those who got this power of leaving their body with their switcha, with their own desire, they wait for this time. Because it has been explained that if in this auspicious movement, if somebody leaves, then they don't come back, they don't return to the cycle of birth and death. However, for a pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning back. No matter whether they leave their body in Uttarayana or Dakshinayana, it's always auspicious. It's always auspicious moment for the devotees. Now someone can say, well, Bhishma Dev was also a pure devotee, so why he was worried and waiting for Uttarayana? The point what we have to understand is that he doesn't want to leave any stone unturned. Naturally, see, if we are dying naturally, then it doesn't matter. The only thing matters is antakale chamameva, smaran muktva kaleva. That whatever matter is that we should remember Krishna. We should have remembrance of Krishna at our antakala, when we are leaving this body. That is what matters the most. But now if somebody is given the choice that yes, you are a devotee, but also you are given the choice of Ichamrityu, where you can leave your body the way you want, then naturally what we do is we try to see some suitable auspicious moment. You can understand with this with a simple example that just came to my mind. that the birth of a child. The childbirth, when it happens naturally, there is no control. That in which Mahurata or whatever, the child comes on its own. But these days, a lot of C-sections are happening where the childbirth is pre-planned because of certain problems that a mother faces. And the mother is given the choice that you can go for some C-section, some operation, and you can deliver a child. Now, when that choice has been given, then naturally the parents, they look for some auspicious time. Okay, what is the auspicious day where the stars are aligned properly? Or what is the auspicious Mahurata? And then they try to work with the doctors, and finally the child is born. So, this is the same thing when the death approaches. So, we cannot fathom this. Why? Because we don't have that benediction of Ichamrityu. But Bhishma Dev had. So, therefore, though he was a pure devotee, though Lord Krishna was standing right in front of him, and not only Lord Krishna, so many sages were assembled together in that battlefield of Kurukshetra, where Bhishma Dev was lying on the throne of arrows, on the bed of that arrows. So many sages came. Krishna was there. So definitely when Krishna is there, every moment is auspicious. But still, he was waiting for that theoretical, bookish, auspicious time, which is the time of Uttarayana. So that's how we have to understand. And that's how the explanation is given, that why Bhishma Dev was waiting. So when somebody is being given the choice, then they try to fit everything, whatever possible. So he was waiting. Vanchitas. Vanchitas means he was desiring that auspicious moment to come, and that is Uttarayana. That is, he was waiting for that time to come. So here, Uttarayana refers only to that time. Okay. Now, also, I have heard many speakers saying that Uttarayana is also that Bhishma Dev was waiting for Krishna, because Uttarayana also is another name of Lord Shri Krishna. Because he took shelter. Ayana means to take shelter. And he took shelter of the womb of Uttara while saving Parikshit Maharaj from that Brahmastra. So because he took the shelter of the womb of Uttara, Krishna is also known as Uttarayana. This is bona fide. But he was not waiting for Krishna at that time, because Krishna was already there. If Bhishma Dev was seriously waiting only for Krishna, where Uttarayana refers only for Krishna, then he would have not spoken those different dharmas to Yudhishthir Maharaj. He would have simply explained that it's all inevitable time and now Krishna is right in front of me, let me leave my body. But because he was waiting for Uttarayana, the time where the sun enters the northern hemisphere, so Bhishma Dev passed that period in explaining about the Bhagavad Dharma or different dharmas to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Because here Suta Goswami is explicitly saying, Dharmam pravadastasya. While describing these occupational duties to Yudhishthira Maharaj, Bhishma Dev immediately stopped as soon as the sun entered into Uttarayana, because the auspicious moment started. So there that explicitly means, even Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that he was waiting for the time for the sun to enter into the northern hemisphere. And so he was waiting for that time, Uttarayana, to come so that he can leave his body. Somebody can read translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can read. While Bhishma Dev was describing occupational duties The sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhuri. So the perfect yogis, Prabhupada writes in the purport, the perfect yogis or mystics can leave their body at their own sweet will at a suitable time and go to a suitable planet that is being desired. So the sun enters into the northern horizon or the northern hemisphere, and that is what is Uttarayana. Yogis can also reach to any planet within no time without a material vehicle. Bhishma Dev knew well how to utilize this, and he was just waiting for that suitable moment to quit his material body. And the golden opportunity arrived when he was instructing his grandsons Pandavas. So while he was instructing, that moment came. So Prabhupada is also writing that he was waiting for whom? He was waiting the time Uttarayana to come, not Krishna Uttarayana, because Krishna was already present there. Text 30th. Tadopshashindritya gira sahasraner vimukta sangam manadi purushe Krishna lasat pita pate chaturbhuje purastite milita dhrikkadarat. At that time, tada means as soon as Bhishma Dev realized, because Bhishma Dev was very good in astrology also. Remember when Pandavas were sent to exile and their final period, that the last year was Agyatwas, where they have to live in incognito, and that Virat war happened and Arjun defeated everybody. At that time, Duryodhan was claiming that they were able to detect Pandavas before the time period of their exile completed. And Bhishma Dev was very good in astrology. So he said no. Actually, the time was completed. But Duryodhan didn't agree because he thought that Bhishma Dev is favoring the Pandavas. But it was not so. So Bhishma Dev also realized at that time also, and now also he realized that how the auspicious moment has arrived where the sun has entered into the northern hemisphere and this time of Uttarayan has been started. So tada, at that time, Upasambhritya, he withdrew. He withdrew from what? Gira, the speech, the words that he was speaking. Means he immediately refrained himself in speaking about the dharmas that he was speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He immediately refrained himself. And here, Bhishma Dev is referred to as Sahasranen. So Sahasraner means, it can mean two meanings. Sahasraner means he was very much, first meaning is that he fought thousands of battles. He participated in thousands of battles. Rana means the Ranabhumi, the battlefield, and Sahasra means many, thousands. So he participated in thousands of battlefield. Therefore, Bhishma Dev is referred to as Sahasranen. But also another meaning can be because he was expert in thousands of military science, in arrows, in using this military science and arts. He was very much expert. Therefore, he is known as Sahasranena. So Sutta Goswami is referring Bhishma Dev as Sahasranena. And he is saying that Sahasranena, that Bhishma Dev, immediately withdrew himself from the speech he was giving to the Pandavas. Vimukta Sangam, and he got completely freed. Mukta means to get freed. Vimukta means Vishesh Rupena, means in a very special way. He got freed from everything else. He became oblivious of what is around him or what he was speaking. So that also shows that he was not attached to his speech. He was doing as a service to Lord Shri Krishna. Because Krishna wanted Bhishma Dev to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he pacified. And then he was answering questions to Yudhishthira Maharaj. But as soon as that auspicious moment came, he withdrew himself from that speech and vimukta sangam, and he got completely freed. And what he did, mana adi purusha. Then he fixed his mind on adi purusha, that adi purusha, that supreme Lord. But somebody can say that adi purusha can also refer to Narayan. So Bhishma Dev is clarifying which adi purusha. Krishna, that Adi Purusha, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who was standing right in front of Bhishma Dev. And how he was standing, Chaturbhuja. So Bhishma Dev saw Krishna in four-handed form. Bhishma Dev didn't see Krishna as a two-handed form. He saw Krishna in a four-handed form. Lasat Pita Pate. And that four-handed form, Krishna, Adi Purusha, how he was decorated in Pita pate, in Lasat Pita pate. Pita means yellow garments. And Lasat means he was decorated with that yellow garments. And those yellow garments, that yellow color was very glittering. Purasthite, and he thus, who was standing, that Supreme Lord, that Chaturbhuj Adi Purusha, was standing in front of Bhishma Dev. And thus, Amilita Drag Vidrahat. So, what Bhishma Dev did, his Drik Shakti, his vision, which is Amilita. Milita means which can blink. Amilita means which is widespread, wide opened. Without even a blink, he was gazing on to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Adi Purusha, who was Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje, who was in four-handed form and was wearing that yellow garments, and who was Purasthita, was standing right in front of Bhishma Dev. So what he did, he fixed his mind and his eyes, those unblinking eyes, those wide opened eyes, he fixed on to that Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So immediately, as soon as the Uttarayan period started, Bhishma Dev withdrew himself from all the things that he was doing and fixed his mind onto Lord Shri Krishna. Adi Purusha Krishna Lasapita Pate Chaturbhuja Purasthita Amilita Drik Vyadarat, means Amilita, with the wide opened eyes, without even blinking his eyes. He fixed his Drik Shakti, his vision, his capacity, his vision capacity onto the Supreme Lord. Somebody can read that translation.
Thereupon that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings, and who fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men, stopped speaking, and being completely freed from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, who stood before him four-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Brahmaji. So he fixed his mind, wide open eyes, without even blinking. Prabhupada writes, the subject matter that attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. And Prabhupada, he explained these Bhagavad Gita verses from 8 to 15. Again, we can read through that. Antakale chamameva mutta Smarana muktva kalevaram yah prasyati samadbhavam yati nastri yatra samshaya. There is no doubt that anybody who quits his body remembering Krishna at the time of death immediately attains the nature of the Supreme Lord. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajyanti ante kalevaram tam tam evanti kauntaya sadatad bhava bhavita. Whatever state one remembers when we quits this body, that state he will attain. Therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna, Maam anusmaran vyuddhacha, that you are fighting, fight remembering me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu maam anusmaran yuddhacha. Mayarpita mano buddhi. When you offer your man, your buddhi to me, maamevasyasyam asamshaya, then without any doubt you will come to me. So Bhishma Dev is remembering all this. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Abhyasa Yogena. And then he says, one who at the time of death fixes his hair between the eyebrows, and in full, this is again from the 6th chapter. Of course, 8th chapter only, but this is from Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga also was brought into that 8th chapter. But again, not only just fix your life hair between the eyebrows, but in full devotion engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord, which certainly attain the Supreme Lord. Vedic person learned in the Vedas, they utter Omkara, who are the great sages in the renounced order. They enter into impersonal Brahman. The yogic situation is that of the detachment from the sensual engagement, closing all the doors of senses and fixing their mind onto the heart and the life air on the top of the head. One establish himself in yoga. And after being situated in such yoga practice, they utter the sacred syllable Om, and then they certainly reach the spiritual planet. For one who remembers me without deviation, I am easily obtained. So this is what he says. Anyanya cheta satatam yoma smrati nityasa tasyam sulabha partha. I'm very easily attained. Nitya yuktasa yogina. And after attaining me, the yogis in devotion, they never return to this temporary world. Mamupetya punajarma dukkhalyam ashashvatam. They don't come to this dukkhalyam. Napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gatim. They attain the highest perfection. So Bhishma Dev, Prabhupada writes all this to explain that Bhishma Dev, he was tattvavit. He attained the perfection of quitting the body at will and was fortunate enough to have Lord Krishna, the object of his attention, personally present at the time of death. So therefore, he fixed his open eyes upon him. He wanted to see Krishna for a long time out of his spontaneous love for him. Because he was a pure devotee, he had very little to do with the detailed performance of yogic principles. Simple bhakti yoga is enough to bring about perfection. Therefore, the ardent desire of Bhishma Dev was to see the person of Lord Shri Krishna, the most lovable object, and by the grace of the Lord, Bhishma Dev had this opportunity at the last stage of his breathing. So he took this as an opportunity. The time is auspicious. Krishna is right in front of me. So let me fix my mind onto Shri Krishna. Vishuddha dharanaya hata shubhastat iksha vaivashu gata yuddha shramaha nivritta sarvendriya vritti vibhramas tushtava janyam vrishajan janardanam. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna. By pure meditation, looking at Lord Shri Krishna, he at once was freed from all material inauspiciousness and was relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrow wounds. Thus, all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendently at the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Bhishma Dev, he got free from all inauspiciousness by his pure concentration, fixing his mind unto Lord Shri Krishna. And then what happened? All the physical pains, the physical fatigue that he got from fighting was also, he got freed from all those physical pains also. He got freed from the wandering senses because he was Bhishma, he was a Kshatriya. So definitely he had so many things to do. But he was freed from those wandering senses also. His senses running to various directions. And this all happened by the merciful glance of Lord Shri Krishna. Then he finally began to praise Lord Shri Krishna. Tadiksha word means that it was only by the mercy of Krishna. Vibhrama means his senses were running in various directions. But finally, he was able to control everything by the mercy of Krishna. And thus, he was able to control his senses. His external activities of the senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendently to the controller of all the living beings. That is Lord Shri Krishna. So the next verse talks about Bhishma Vacha, where the prayers, the real prayers of Lord Bhishma Dev will be spoken, what he prayed to Lord Shri Krishna. We'll read the purport and then I'll come to you, Shyam Gopal Prabhu. The material world is a gift of the material energy, technically called illusion. Classic line. This is what is illusion. And it is a gift of the material energy. Identification with the material body is due to forgetfulness of our relationship with the Lord. Because we have forgot the relationship, our eternal relationship, we are associating with Maya or the material body. For a pure devotee of the Lord like Bhishma Dev, this illusion was at once removed as soon as the Lord arrived. Because this illusory energy of the Lord that keeps us in illusion is actually the servant of Lord Shri Krishna. Krishna is Maya Dhish. He is the Ishwar of Maya. So when Krishna is there, Maya cannot be there. So as soon as Krishna arrived, Bhishma Dev was freed from all kind of illusions that were brought forward by Maya Devi. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and the illusory external energy is like darkness. So in the presence of sun, darkness cannot be there. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andhakar. Jaha Krishna, taha nahi Maya Adhikar. So that adhikar of Maya is lost. In the presence of the sun, there is no possibility that the darkness can stand. Therefore, just on the arrival of Lord Shri Krishna, all material contamination was completely removed, and Bhishma Dev was able to transcendently situate by stopping the activities of his impure senses in collaboration with matter. The soul is originally pure, Prabhupada is writing. We are pure, and so our senses are also pure. But because now we have come in contact with the material nature, they have become contaminated. And they have assumed the role of imperfection and impurity. As soon as again we come in contact with the Supreme Lord, the senses again become freed from material contamination. Mam eva hi prapadyante mayam etam taranti te. Bhishma Dev attained all these transcendental conditionings prior to his leaving the material body because of the presence of Lord Shri Krishna. The Lord is the controller and the benefactor of all living beings. Bhoktaram Yagatapasan. And that is the verdict of all the Vedas. He is the supreme eternity and the living entity among all the living beings. And he alone provides all the necessities for all kind of living beings. Thus, he provided all facilities to fulfill the transcendental desire of his great devotee Bhishma Dev, who then prayed as follows. So from here onwards, we will see the prayers of Lord Bhishma Dev, which actually begins. Up till now, it was a prelude that how Bhishma Dev instructed Yudhishthir Maharaj, gave solace to Yudhishthir Maharaj, and finally Uttarayan started. He withdrew himself from all other activities and fixed his mind unto the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, and he offered his prayers. Yes, Shyam Gopal Prabhu.
Mataji.
Yes.
So in this purport and even the previous purport, I think Bhishma Dev is one of the Mahajan, and he is dying, so we have to say good thing about him. But I think even Draupadi has asked him, right? Okay, where was all this in Mahabharata? There is one that where is all your this knowledge was when I was brought into the Sabha, and you did not speak. So there are so many instances in Bhishma Dev's life that he was attached to the throne, right? He was attached to like putting some very eligible
Yeah, he was
emperor.
attached to his vow.
Yeah, so he was like too much attached, and that's why he lived so many years.
Hmm.
Like complete his vow, right? And then he also waited for Uttarayan. So it seems like, so this purpose gives him a one side of the thing, but the other side you will see like he is a little bit more selfish, right? Kind of person. In a
No,
way that he gives
previous
himself.
purports also we saw, right? One of the purport we read where Prabhupada was pointing out that Bhishma Dev is always underrated by the people, but actually he was working as per the Lord's will. It was Lord's plan that Bhishma Dev gets so much attached to his vow so that through Bhishma Dev, Lord can explain to the people in general that how you have to give up those vows also when it comes to establish dharma.
I
So,
think even
dharman prityaja, mame kam sharanam vraja. So, Lord wants to bring this point that even though you may be a great warrior like Bhishma Dev, he was invincible in any fight. Nobody can defeat Bhishma Dev. But he says that moment you may have so many powers, you may be a mystic, you may be someone great like Bhishma Dev. But if you are attached to your so-called vows that you take, and if you don't help Krishna in establishing the proper dharma, then you are certainly defeated, no matter how great warrior you are. So he was used as an instrument in Krishna's plan. Prabhupada specifically writes this. So he was happy to be used. And we also gave the example of Kaikai. So Kaikai was also used as an instrument for Lord Ram to execute his duties of killing Ravan. So all these people, if they are with Krishna, we have to understand that they teach us how to be and how not to be. So through Bhishma Dev, Krishna is giving us this example that no matter how great you are, but if you are on the side of adharma, and if you are so much fixed in your vow that you even don't help Krishna to establish dharma or dharmic principles, then you will be fallen, like you will be defeated one day. So that's how we have to understand Prabhu.
so in a way, his character, in a way, is glorified a lot here, right? Means he had done a lot many good things for Pandavas, no
Yes.
doubt about it. He saved them so many times. But even Draupadi has some questions for him, right? In the Mahabharata, that
Yes.
where was you, like why you kept quiet, miss? You could have said something. And Krishna also did the same queries to him.
Yeah,
saying,
that's
why?
what Krishna says, that because you didn't follow at that time the real dharma, so you are defeated. So Krishna wants to bring this out.
My question is like, even if he had broken his vow, Krishna would have done this anyhow, right? Miss, they would have been someone else. So when we are in the place of Bhishma, right, not knowing that this is like, okay, this is what, not at that level, maybe like a smaller level also, and we are doing something, thinking, okay, this is what I have, like, agreed or something like, but we know that it is wrong. And we go on doing that. Isn't that wrong? Because it's like at the end, whatever Krishna's will is, that will happen. But not knowing that at that time, Bhishma was doing it. So anyhow, he was not acting in a full faith as a devotee. As a devotee, you cannot do that. Right? That is my question. Like, even when all these things he did, he has been still called a Mahajan. So that particular relation is little difficult to like
No,
because
it's not difficult. We have to understand, because in the 9th chapter also Krishna explains, Api setsu duracharo bhajate maam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vastito hi saha. Because Krishna says, even though if somebody is api chetsu duracharo, is performing some abominable activities, but is bhajante maam samya bhak, with his worshipping me, still he will be considered as saintly. And then what will happen? Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim gacchati kauntaya pratijani name bhakta pranishyati. Very quickly, Shipram bhavati. very quickly he'll become righteous, he'll become dharmavit. And therefore, Krishna says, O Kauntaya, you declare that my devotees will never perish. So, to answer your question, where you say that, what if we also do something? See, knowingly, if we are doing, after knowing all these instances from Mahabharata, Ramayana, from Bhagavad Gita, these are the manuals of our life, where we have to lead our life by seeing the examples of these great devotees, how to be and how not to be. And even after knowing, we perform certain activities, then definitely we'll never be forgiven. But if unknowingly we did something, some abominable activity has been done, then Krishna says, and even after committing that activity, we are fixed in our Krishna consciousness, then Krishna says that still you will be considered saintly and I will take care. Kauntaya pratijani name bhakta pranishyati. Then he gives his promise to Arjun that you declare that my devotees will never perish. So Krishna at that time will take care that we don't fall down, and he will take care of our antakale at the time of death. The classic example is of Bhishma Dev. Yes, he was too much attached to the vows that he has taken, especially the vow he has taken that I will take care of this Hastinapur and I will see every king who sits on this throne as an image of my father, and I will protect this throne till the time I don't see that this entire Hastinapur is well situated. I'll not leave this body. So this is a kind of a doership mentality that Bhishma Dev was having. But at the same time, Prabhupada and all our acharyas says that we don't have to underestimate or underrate the position of Bhishma Dev. Rather, we have to take it in the sense that he was used as an instrument in Krishna's plan to explain us that all these chala dharmas, upadharmas, they don't hold any value. When it comes to establish the real dharma, we have to give up all so-called dharmas and we have to fix in our Sanatan Dharma and Krishna Dharma. Therefore, Krishna says, Sarvdharman Parityajam Mamekam Sharanam Raj. When it comes to Krishna, then all the dharmas take the sideline. So this is all has been taught by Bhishma Dev. Yes, he did something so-called abominable because he supported Hastinapur. He didn't raise his voice when Draupadi was attempted to be disrobed in the Kuru Sabha. And because of all this, he was on the bed of arrows. He bared all the sufferings that he went through. But again, he is still regarded as one of the Mahajans because Krishna used him as an instrument in his service. That's how we have to understand.
Thank you, Mataji.
Somebody else? Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have two questions. One is that in connected with Shyam Gopal Prabhu said, so I had this question is Bhishma Dev's, was he considered or is he considered Mahajan all throughout his life, or because the end of his life he became pure, and should we follow his example only the end of his life, his whatever his devotional the words, the prayers he said, like that?
Of course, first of all, we have to say that he was a Vasu. Okay. And because of that activity of stealing Vashishta's cow, he was cursed and he came in this form of a human being as Bhishma Dev. And throughout his life, he was very dharmic. Once, because he has taken such a vow that he was not able to speak and he was not able to control Dhritarashtra, he was not able to speak, because of which certain things happened and because of which we cannot say. See, again, we have to understand, Mataji, even for a devotee, forget about these great personalities. They are Mahajans. We are nobody to judge them. But even for a devotee that we meet day to day in our life, we have to understand that if we see certain faults in them, those faults will be ignored. Those faults will be taken care the more they practice bhakti. Okay, this is what Rupa Goswami also explains in Nectar of Instruction. That all the faults in the devotees are just like the foam that is there in the rainy season that happens in Ganga. Ganga becomes muddy during the rainy seasons, the 4 months of rainy season. So all this Buddha Pankhena, all the mud that we see on Ganga during the 4 months, just by seeing that mud, we cannot claim that Ganga is impure. Ganga is pure always. Certain period of year happens that Ganga becomes muddy. But because she is a flowing river, what happens is that all the mud gets flowed and certain mud gets deposited and the Ganga becomes clean when the autumn season arises. Similar is the case of the devotees. The devotees, they all are in the practicing sadhana stage. They are all sadhakas. They have not become pure devotees. The devotees that we meet, I'm talking about day-to-day life when we meet the devotees. If we happen to see the faults, those faults we have to see as a temporary fault. The more they practice bhakti, the more that faults will be driven away. And the devotee can situate himself or herself on the pure devotee platform. But if we judge or pass comments on that period of time where the devotee is struggling, and we pass our comments or we post on internet or we do some wrong things, then what happens is our criticism becomes prominent. Anyway, that devotee's faults will be removed, provided that devotee is on the path of bhakti. So as the Ganga, because she is flowing, the mud gets washed away. Similarly, the anarthas of the devotees will also get washed away. The faults that we see today will get washed away over the period of time. But our comments, our judgment that we made during that time will become eternal. So that's what aparadh happens. So therefore, to avoid ourselves from committing any aparadh, the best is that even if we see the faults, it's not that we cannot see them. We ourselves are not on the pure devotee platform where we ignore the faults. We will see the faults. But immediately as soon as we see the faults, this verse of Rupa Goswami should strike in my mind, in our mind, that these faults are temporary. They will go away. Let me not judge that person and pass any comments on that person's fault that I am seeing. Because that fault will pass, will go away, but my judgment will remain eternal. So let me not give any judgment on such devotees if we see such faults in them. This is how we have to perceive and interact when we are in that devotee circle. Faults will be seen. You cannot close your eyes. And neither we are on the pure devotee platform where we'll ignore the faults or we'll see good in those faults. We are not on that level. Krishna is. Only Jagannath, the Supreme Lord, has these unblinking eyes where he wants to see only the good in the devotees. But we are not such. We are sadhakas. We will try to see the faults and try to bring forward those faults. That's the mentality. But we have to rise up from that mentality where if we happen to see the faults, then also we should ignore, remembering that this is just the rainy season that this devotee is going through, because of which we are seeing that muddy water. The more the bhakti will come in that devotee and this phase will pass, the devotee will shine like a sun and will become pure as Ganga water. So let me not pass that comment. So let me not see those faults. Even if see, let me not, that dosh darshan is happening, let me not do dosh kirtan. Same is the case of Bhishma Dev also. Yes, he did something, we don't have to explicitly sit on that and judge and pass comments on that. Rather, let us take a lesson that how he went through, what he did, we should not do it. And that was the main reason that Krishna used him as an instrument, where he wants to bring this point that no matter how great a warrior like Bhishma Dev you can be, but if you are taking the side of adharma, you will be thrown out. You will suffer badly. And Bhishma Dev suffered. But at the same time, because his devotion was not deviated, devotion to Lord Krishna, he had an unflinching devotion towards Lord Krishna. Because he had that devotion to Krishna, then Krishna remembered all the devotion that Bhishma Dev had. And because of which, he gave him the glorious departure by being personally present in front of Bhishma Dev. So this is how we have to see all these scenarios and also take lessons from them to imbibe in our own personal life. Hope that helps Shama Gopal Prabhu and Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. I definitely have faith that he was pure, and there always was a reason why he did what he did. But I was just wondering, like, should we consider as Mahajan throughout, or is it only because he became Mahajan?
No,
So it's not like he
was
became
Mahajan.
only at the last stage. He was always a Mahajan, right?
Always a Mahajan.
Okay, and other question I had that the moksha dharma isn't that the same as the Bhagavad dharma? Because
No, moksha dharma is not Bhagavad dharma. Moksha is still regarded as occupational duty, as the dharma of this world. That is
really?
dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But Bhagavad dharma is beyond. Moksha dharma is that, okay, I want to get freed from this cycle of birth and death and situate myself in the spiritual world. But Bhagavad dharma is beyond moksha dharma, that I am okay to stay in this material world also, provided my Krishna is there with me, provided my Krishna assures me that I am there with you. So Bhagavad Dharma is beyond Moksha Dharma, because Bhagavad Dharma, the devotees don't even want liberation. They want only the association of their pure devotees. Yes. So Bhagavad Dharma is beyond Moksha Dharma.
Mataji, in this connection, I have one question, Mataji. In the important quality of this, one of the qualities here is that you should not get angry. It's that what we saw, but you see these rishis like Durvasa and all that, they often get angry and then they, I don't know what is their status. That means they can never get into.
They're not a pure devotee. They're not regarded
they
as.
can't get into this moksha component even. That means, isn't it, Mataji?
They are not regarded as pure devotees. But yeah, so what we read that
so they don't come under devotee category at all, because the first thing that they're saying is you should not be angry. But these people are identified with their angry.
With their anger, yeah. So we have to understand, see, Durvasa Muni, we know that from the 9th canto of Ambarish Maharaj pastime, that how much he has to struggle. And when he went even to Vishnu Loka, Vishnu said, oh, don't come to me. Why you have come to me? I have nothing to do with you. See, he immediately ignored, because he offended his devotee, his pure devotee Ambarish Maharaj, who was a grahastha, who was a king. But how wonderfully he was carrying out his duty, that his status was above Durvasa. So we have to understand that Krishna always supports his devotees, those who have unflinching faith on Krishna. That's how we have to understand.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji, yeah, you were stopping. Go ahead.
Mataji, I was wondering, like, Bhishma Dev, he actually gave his own solution for his own defeat, right? Like the Pandavas had to go and ask him only that, if unless we knock you out down and you make you disabled, of course we can't kill you because of ichha mrityu, but we have to make you disabled. So unless we do that, we can't win this dharmic war, and we have to win for establishing dharma. So they only asked him, you only give us an idea of how you. So if he only gave the idea ki, if a woman or a non-male person comes, I will give up my. So ultimately, he only took his own punishment, that I deserve to be uh, pierced arrows because of my whatever mistakes.
Of course.
And it was like a prayashchit for him,
Hmm.
and his own way to retire from all his duties. And but on the flip side, then he ultimately didn't fulfill his vow to protect the throne, because he only gave uska upay, right? How to remove him as a from this
He
whole
knew,
war.
see, how you can say that he was not stick to his vow. At that time also he was stick to his vow, because he want to make sure that Pandavas take over the throne. And how the Pandavas will take away the throne? The Pandavas will take the throne only when Bhishma Dev dies. Because till the time Bhishma Dev is on the battlefield, then it will be very hard for the Pandavas to win. So the Pandavas to win, he has to be knocked down. And Bhishma Dev understood that this is what is Krishna's plan, because it's Krishna who has sent them, all the Pandavas, to go to that Shayan, to that Shivir, the tent, the camp of Bhishma Dev, and ask him that how he will be knocked down. So Bhishma Dev understood that this is Krishna's plan. He understood that if I will go out from this battlefield, only then the Pandavas will win. And only then this Hastinapur will be protected.
Understood. So at that time, he had to disregard seeing the king as his father, and he had to protect Hastinapur as the bigger vow, right? The ultimate vow was. So like he had to disregard Dhritarashtra for that moment, I guess.
Of course. Of course he has to. Because till the time he is on the battle, it's invincible. It's not possible for anyone to defeat Bhishma Dev.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here. And these Bhishma prayers we'll continue on Thursday. Unfortunately, Preeti Vilasni Mataji is not available on Thursday, so you have to hear me only. So Thursday also I'll continue. One last thing before anybody of you drop out. So we covered till 31 and 49 verses in this chapter, if I'm not wrong. Yes. So we have to start from 32 on Thursday. That is 15th. So probably by next Thursday, so Thursday 15th and then August 18, and most probably by 22nd of August, we'll finish this 9th chapter. So what I was thinking is, when we finish this 9th chapter on 22nd of August, then 25th and 26th and 28th, that is next Tuesday and Thursday, we can take a break. And September 2nd, Tuesday, we can have our closed book exam. Okay, this suits everybody. So we'll try to finish chapter 9 by 21st of August, that is Thursday, and 26th and 28th, next Tuesday and Thursday, we can take off. You can prepare for your closed book exam and also work on your open book exam and test 2 of shlokas that you all have to do. So September 2nd, we can have closed book exam, and still till 15 more days, we'll give you extra time to finish your open book exam, but try to finish your open book exam as soon as possible. And of course, your shloka test too. Okay. And then from 9th of September, or maybe from 4th of September, we can decide on, we can start our next unit, that is chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hope that helps. We'll give this, I'll write this information on WhatsApp also. But before any one of you drop off, I also want to explain this in the call. Hope that's helped. Yes, Devendra Govinda Prabhu, you unmute.
Yeah, Mataji, all the questions will be coming from the
On
questionnaire,
the
right?
question bank.
Okay.
No outside question will come. You have to prepare the entire question bank.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
So
sir.
can
Go ahead.
instead of 2nd, can we do either 4th or 9th?
What you said, Prabhu?
Instead of 2nd September, can we have the closed book exam on 4th or 9th?
Yeah, we can have a fourth also.
I mean, like, can we have 1 more week extension? That's what I was saying.
See, closed
Because-
book exam we will open on September 1st and you can finish up to 5th or 6th of September. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Entire week the exam will be opened for you all.
Okay.
So from 1st of September to 6th of September, you can finish at your pace, whatever time you want.
Okay, sure, Mataji.
Mataji, this is a typing system. Does it have some, because everybody has to type, or we can keep a open write? Any facility, Mataji, for that?
You want to write it or you want to
Yeah,
type?
keep a video or something and write it and then post it on. Is it possible? Because
Yes, it is possible. If you have to write it down, then you can write it and then you can upload that document. But everything will be time constrained.
Okay.
Okay, as soon
We
as
can upload it, then it is fine, Mataji, because Jalashmi Mataji, she may not be able to, my auntie may not be able to, and even so, I'm not also very frequent typing this.
You can type and you can upload. And but it is
So write and upload, scan it and upload. Right,
scan it and upload, yes.
Okay. So where in the same area we can upload it,
Dashboard,
right?
dashboard. We'll give you a walkthrough before that.
Oh, thank you, Mataji.
Yes,
Mataji, the September 1st is like Labor Day weekend. So when I was wondering if we could get like 1 more week or start it a little later so that we get the next weekend also.
So 6th and 7th weekend is not enough?
Yeah, because you said from 1st to 6th, right?
You can take from 1st to 7th if you are happen to do it on 7th, Sunday, if it is okay with you.
Okay, Mataji.
See, if anyone has some personal thing, they can approach me or Preeti Vilasni Mataji. We can take that exception, not a problem. But for others, let's keep this 1 week only, September 1st to September 6 or 7, whatever. And Yamuna Mataji, if you have problem in this week where you cannot attend for exam, no problem at all. We can consider you and you can approach us. We are very lenient in this, so very, very lenient. Those
Thank
who
you, Mataji.
Shastri with us, they know that how lenient we are. And we understand we are all in Grahastha life and we have our own things going on with us. So that's okay. No problem at all. Okay. So don't worry.
I would like to add, Mataji, basically it is Bhagavata Seva we enjoy more than these examinations and all. But however, the question is you have to concentrate, and this is only a part of the thing. More than the exam itself, it's nice to be with people like you to hear Bhagavata, Mataji.
This also I have explained in Bhakti Shastri also that yes, exams are important. Getting certificate is important. You will get a title of Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. But after all, the real exam is when these reversals come in your life.
Yes,
Then how you take it, then how you react, then how you respond to such situations. That is the real test. These exams are okay. A question bank is given to you. You have to memorize the entire question bank and you will easily get above 90%. But Krishna is not going to provide any question bank.
Yes,
He will not provide any question bank, and spontaneously the reversals will come to your life, and then the real exam will happen. That how you imbibe these teachings of Bhakti Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Vaibhav, these teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in that time. That's the real test. So, as you said, Padmini Mataji, the more we relish studying and understanding Bhagavatam,
Hearing Mataji, Shravanam, it's so nice to hear Mataji.
yes, rest all are secondary, but at the same time, because you have enrolled for the course,
Enrolled, yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. That is why we said, sometimes we used to think, what if you don't even write exams? What if you're not Bhakti Shastri or all? You just want to hear and hear. That's all it means.
it
Thank you,
doesn't matter.
Mataji. Thank you,
Matter.
Mataji.
Our title, we are not going to hang the title on our neck. Oh, we are Bhakti Shastri, we are Bhakti Vaibhav. It doesn't matter. But yeah, the more we give exams, the more we memorize, the more we train ourselves in studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, thank you all so much. So we'll stop here. See you all on Thursday. And from there, we'll start Bhishma prayers. The prayers by Lord Bhishma Dev. Okay, so let's end our session. Vancha kalpatarupi kripa sindhu vaevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah anant koti vaishnav vrindi ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Mataji ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Great.